Pribilof Islands lie in the middle of the Bering Sea, 800 air miles from Anchorage, Alaska. They were little known until 1948, when Walt Disney's movie Seal Island turned them into an adventure destination. Alfred and Elma Milot, who shot the film, were the first to hang off the cliffs with their bulky film cameras and capture movies of the birds. Their very excellent work is copyright protected, but there is a link in the description of this video. There are two islands. St. George is wild and has the most birds, but St. Paul has an airport and a place to sleep, so that's where most visitors go. It's a strange land dominated by birds. The wind and the sound of the sea are constant. Most days bring fog. The birds live in a vertical world on what is the closest thing to the edge of the earth as they venture onto the unknowable sea. On St. Paul, most of the birds belong to the group known as auks. You may know the Atlantic great auk, the largest of the family, flightless, and hunted to extinction for its feathers and eggs. Murres, puffins, and auklets make up the St. Paul auk dynasty. The word comfort will not be found in the auk dictionary. They spend days and nights tossed around on wind-swept, cold seas. They can fly, but like bumblebees, do it on wings that are small for their weight. It's hard work. During the breeding season in June and July, the murres, commonest of the auk clan, pack onto cliff ledges with barely enough room to stretch, in a crowd of smelly, bad-tempered neighbors. These are thick-billed murres. Identified by the white line on the bill, they are the most abundant auks on the island. Closely related common murres lack the white line. For a month, they sit on an egg, no nest, no padding, and desperately try not to break it while gales blow around them. Mealtime means a flight of up to 50 miles and a dive to 100 feet or more. When the egg hatches, a murre pair does this every day, 5 times a day, for 3 weeks. Long flights, deep dives, cramped rocks. As we shall see, auks have developed unique ways to deal with each of these problems. A big issue for an auk is flying. Underwater, chasing prey, they don't swim, they actually fly. Flying and maneuvering in water requires small wings. Penguins have such small wings, they're simply flippers. But auks must also fly in the air. They have all the feathers and muscles for aerial flight, but they can only manage it by beating their narrow little wings super fast, non-stop. Ancient knowledge takes them to a feeding ground and they cease to be creatures of the air. They embrace the rocking, cold, and soaking sea. Now, flying underwater, they hear what comes to them from miles away. Clicking fish, singing whales, boat propellers, all with that muffled ringing that surprises a child the first time he dives into a swimming pool. With bills or gizzards full, they pop to the surface and spend a little social time there. Then it's into the air again. The return home from a fishing trip is in a straight line and as fast as possible. They arrive home in groups. Ahead is a vertical wall. On it is their spot, their mate, their egg. There are no friends here. Land right or get pushed off. It doesn't matter if you have a fish to offer. Be in the wrong place, and the answer is no. Try it again. The rocks are wet slick with spray. The stench of excrement is everywhere. It makes landing even more slippery. But they do it. Here on the cliff, once a volcano, and now peppered with holes and crevices from the cooling lava, is safety from foxes and raptors. It's a hard life. Few of Earth's creatures would put up with it. Murres have another adaptation for living in this harsh environment. It's in their famously pointed eggs. With a broad end and a pointed end, both in contact with the furrowed and pocked surface, the egg can easily make a snug fit, resistant to movement from a clumsy parent, or winds that could blow a round egg into the sea. Auk feet are adapted for swimming. They're not at all good for walking. This parakeet auklet scuttles around on her toes and the single fused bone that makes up her foot. Fortunately, the narrow ledges they inhabit don't require much walking. Unlike the murres, who live on fish, auklets go for smaller prey. Their odd bills, almost oval in shape, contain sharp points inside that you can see here, and a versatile tongue that allows them to strain and hold prey only a few millimeters long. Parakeet auklets eat tiny crustaceans, small jellyfish, and unfortunately the myriad plastic beads found throughout the sea that look like food. You can tell the male from the female in this pair. The female is on the left. She has a smaller bill. The male has a noticeably stouter bill. The eyes of courting auklets, both male and female, sometimes develop pinpoint pupils, just like this male. The pupil can almost disappear, as in the middle bird here. Can he even see? Here is a crested auklet, a bird with a perpetual smile. Humans are smitten by these social birds who are always looking for physical contact. The feathers of the neck and chest area exude the odor of citrus, and the birds like to cuddle in it. Distinguishing a male from a female crested auklet at sight is tough. Males tend to have fuller crests and larger bills. The crested auklet is a species living on the edge. The total North American population was about 3 million birds when counted in 1988. That number is thought to be stable today. However, they breed at less than 20 sites in the North Pacific. Crested auklets don't crowd onto narrow ledges like murres, but seek rock crevices on more forgiving slopes. A pair lays only one egg a year and doesn't replace it if something happens. Arctic foxes eat the eggs, the young, and the adults when they can. And if the foxes are controlled, the Norway rat population grows and they eat the auklets. For food, auklets depend on conditions at sea, and climate change causes traditional feeding grounds to move, sometimes out of flight range of breeding areas. Single-day e-bird counts of crested auklets at St. Paul in June or July in the early 2000s regularly came up with 100 to 1,000 birds. In recent years, counts of less than 50 are common. It's easy to overlook the little least auklets. Their markings are less striking than the other two species, and they always seem to be trying to get out of the way. Their breeding colony is in a separate part of the island. In August, all the auklets, adults and chicks, are gone. They've become creatures of the sea for another year. 2 of the world's 3 species of puffins inhabit these cliffs. Tufted puffins have swept-back blonde hair like 1950s rock stars. Horned puffins are more sedate and harder to find. When they have chicks to feed, all puffins spend hours far out at sea collecting small fish like capelin. Their huge bills famously can bring home a dozen fish at once. But now, before eggs have hatched, some birds are content with just a spin around the island. These two birds are neither auks nor puffins. Related to albatrosses, but much, much smaller, they are northern fulmars. They have a special structure on their bills that excretes salt. This lets them drink seawater without being poisoned. Fulmars are superb flyers and really seem to enjoy it. Notice the wings, longer than any auks. For the photographer, fulmars wheeling back and forth over the rocks, over the sea, offer a panorama of light and textures. Auks and fulmars aren't the only birds on the sea here. This is a red-faced cormorant. Like cormorants around the world, they stay closer to shore. They don't fly underwater, but swim with their big feet, using their long necks and hooked bills like dinosaurs to grab whatever is in reach. One species of duck revels in the surf. It's never happy in calm water, and even when it breeds, it seeks out rapid rivers. It's the harlequin duck, named for the bold, dark, and light patterns of the head. This is a mixed flock of non-breeding males and females. The first seabirds shared the skies with fish-eating, flying reptiles 70 million years ago. The first of the auk clan appeared 20 million years later. They will probably last millions of years more, so long as there are fish in the sea. Let's hope that we can do as well.